How did the music in Star Wars actually save the movie? All that in this episode. Now, it's been argued that the editing saved the original Star Wars, now called A New Hope. This is true, but it's not the only factor. The music was a big part as well. I don't ask many what-if questions. What if Leia turned to the dark side? What if Ahsoka and Anakin fell in love? What if the music in Star Wars was completely different? But first you have to sit back and ask yourself, what are some of the most iconic things about Star Wars? Well, for me, the characters would be the first thing to come to mind. Darth Vader, R2-D2, Chewbacca, Yoda, Jabba the Hutt are some of the most recognizable movie characters in existence. But then, there's the production design of the whole film. Not only in the costumes that made the characters come to life, but in the used universe in which they lived in. The way that their world felt similar to ours, even though it was in a galaxy far, far away. And the sound design made it seem like it was objects of things made right here on Earth. I mean, they used sounds that were made here on Earth and just mixed them in a way to make them feel Star Wars. But another main portion of the Star Wars universe was the music. And what would Star Wars have been like had John Williams not done the score for the movies? So let's go back in time to 1976. George Lucas is in post-production after a very long and grueling shoot to get Star Wars finished. People that were working on the set of Star Wars didn't know what the heck George was trying to make. There was no James Earl Jones voicing Darth Vader, so even though David Prowse was menacing in person as Darth, he was saying all of his lines through a helmet, which made it quite comical for a person working on the set to think that this was just another B-movie science fiction film.
This ship carries the crest of Alderaan. Was there any of the royal family on board? Who were you carrying?
The production was quite over budget. George had no special effects shots done, and the rough cut that George had World War II plane footage in fight scenes as a placeholder. And on top of that, George was getting physically ill and experiencing chest pains due to stress. Nothing was going George's way. Even George's friends who saw the rough cut called the film a disaster. George even had to take over the edit himself and even placed 2 more editors on the picture to get back on track and rework the flow of the entire movie. One of those editors was his wife at the time, Marcia Lucas. Let's just say that it was a disaster. But the one thing that even George Lucas said was the saving grace of the entire project was when he heard the first recordings of what John Williams had written for the movie. Now, George was familiar with John's work, and Lucas wanted a score that was orchestral, was in every scene, and pretty much filled every second of the film. He wanted it to be a classic Hollywood score at a time when movie soundtracks were moving away from orchestral scores and going more towards rock or other trends of the day. So, back to the question. What if John Williams had not scored the Star Wars film, and from pressure from the movie studio, they had succumbed to trends of the day? Weird sci-fi scores that sounded outer-worldly, or a modern score that was synth or disco rock related, with pop music being introduced just to try to sell the soundtrack at record stores. But can you imagine if Star Wars would have tanked at the box office? And I truly believe, without the score that John Williams had created, we also got the other 2 movies in the Star Wars trilogy. But if the movie tanked, it would most likely be a cult classic film today, played at midnight showings, much like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And what a weird alternate universe that would be. But we don't have to worry about that alt world, because we live in a world with Star Wars, and we have the amazing music from John Williams and the London Symphony Orchestra. And a lot of you have asked, what music do I use for my show? I use Epidemic Sound. When you get a membership, you get the access to the best library of music that's license-free and royalty-free that you can use on YouTube. My affiliate link is down in the description, and it does help the channel when you click and use that link to sign up, so thank you for that. So if you found this video interesting, please hit that like button. It does support the channel, so thank you for that. And please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can follow the journey. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time.